I wish there was a way to filter things away. So, let's start with the overpowered characters, yeah? You want to take a guess who the overpowered characters are? I'll talk about them in a second. Last one. Last little fucker. I think that might be it for now, actually. Draven is questionable. Draven is, I'm gonna need some more tier lists, I think. Only for bonuses. Say. Okay, let's put it like this for now. I don't know what they did with this one. Things are different sizes. Let's make both characters and items in the same one. Okay, so items I would consider to be not overpowered, but necessary. I'm just gonna put all the items here so I can see the items easier. Because this cheat sheet is fucking crazy. Wait, what? That's not even a game. What the fuck? Rapid fire is pretty much good on everything. Everyone that wants to have an auto attacker that they want to make relevant needs to have a rapid fire. I think that's every. Oh wait. I think that's everything that's in the game. Wit's End is not in the game. Whatever the fuck this is not in the game. Okay. So, item wise. Obviously, all of the items that make you into a certain class is gonna be down here, pretty much. Because they don't make sense if you... Well, let's rate them, okay? So even if they are items that make you into a class, I'm gonna rate them just so that we can see how I rate them. Okay? So, let's start with the worst one. Oh, Essence Reaver? Where's Essence Reaver? Oh shit, sorry. Oh, the Dust Spatula? Okay. So, let's start with Night one. So, the Night one is probably the second worst thing you can make with the spatula. The worst one. It can also be argued that it's the worst one because Night bonus is not very great, especially late game. It scales off very quickly. Therefore, I would probably put it in the lowest category. I would even actually keep this one and only for bonuses. Blade Master. Blade Master can be useful, even though Blade Master is not really a super well represented class currently. So let's go ahead and put the Blade Master one in C, because it's playable, but it's not really an item you want to go for. Assassin, very strong item, It's a complete enabler for the assassin comp that I like to run with triple void and 6 assassins, which is basically impossible before level 9 unless you get the assassin item. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in not overpowered tier, but in very strong tier. Same with Sorcerer. It's a strong enabler. It gives your character double mana when you auto attack. And it also gives you an extra Sorcerer, which enables 6 Sorcerer comps much easier. Not quite in the overpowered category, but same as the Assassin one. Glacial, definitely a strong pick. Glacial bonus is very hard to reach playing all the Glacial units. Sometimes it's very hard to reach the Anivia, or maybe you don't want to play the Lysandra. Then it's a solid pick. I don't know if I necessarily would say it's as strong as the Assassin or the Sorcerer one, but it allows your characters to stun, so it's also really solid. Demon one, kind of like the Blade Master one. Sadly, Demon doesn't have great support, but demons are like the Demon buff itself is kinda okay, so it's not terrible, much like the Blade. Knight's Vow, as I said, only for the bonus. I'm gonna keep it in the only bonus thing. Force of Nature, an item that a lot of people probably would put here, but in my personal opinion, the Force of Nature is probably the worst thing you can make with a spatula, other than maybe Knight's Vow or the Demon or the Blade Master one. It's an item that seems very good on surface, but it's just worse than all the other ones. So I'm gonna put it in B. Because this one requires you to have one extra unit that you already have leveled and that fits into your comp. Which is kinda eh. I think you can unlock it by pressing Y or Z on a German keyboard, maybe. Cursed Blade, pretty bad item. I'm gonna put it low. Hush. Okay, I'm gonna put some items in low right now, and I'll probably rethink some of them. But I'm gonna put them here for now. I think that's pretty much the items I would consider to be bad. Okay. Then we go back to items. Magic immunity, crazy item actually. It's almost essential to build if you have a character that you want to survive against mages. I'm gonna put it quite high. It's also one of the few things that are good that you can make out of the magic immunity cloak. The Negatron cloak. Solid item overall. Phantom Dancer is required against either Draven comps or Assassin comps. Much like the Dragon Claw. Currently, I might even put them there actually, because these two items turn someone immortal basically. And if that character is strong enough itself to deal damage, then all good. So, like, the one thing I would say that makes this one worse than Phantom Dancer is that the units that want this one already kind of has that one. Let me just check the queue times. 12-minute queue already, wow. Then we have Redemption, which is just a solid item in general. Right now, there are a lot of one-shotting comps going around, like the Aurelion Soul, Gnar bullshit. And the Aurelion Soul usually has a Morellonomicon on him, so the Redemption doesn't do too much. So I'm gonna go ahead and place this one in B tier, even though it's a solid item to make. Hextech, in my opinion, to my knowledge, I should say, there aren't very many characters that can make use of the Hextech Gunblade. No, wait, this one is called. Is it Hextech Gunblade? I think it's Hextech Gunblade. So this item is gonna be a little bit lower. There are a couple of fringe things you could theoretically make with this. Like if you put a Morellonomicon, Gunblade, and Phantom Dancer on an Aurelian Soul with a Dragon buff, then he's pretty much unkillable. But in general, it's not a great item to go for, I think. You can also put it on Katarina, but even on Katarina, it's kind of meh. Could be decent on Swain, but it has very limited usability. Okay, so here comes two hard items, in my opinion. Well, actually, I said I would do the character first. So let's go back to the characters, okay? And then we'll come back to the items later. Aatrox. In my original guide or original tier list, I put him very low. But what I've learned about Aatrox is that he is actually stronger than I thought. Because Aatrox has a fairly decent AoE ability that deals a decent amount of damage, and that just it's hard for him not to get it out because he channels it fast and he just uses it quickly. So Aatrox is actually a little bit better than I thought. He is still limited by the fact that he's a demon and a blade master, which not very many comps make use of, but he's definitely not D tier like I put him in last time. Ari, Wild got nerfed a little bit, but she's still a wild sorcerer. You can still do the wild stuff. Nidalee also got nerfed, and yeah. They all got hit kinda semi-hard. She still can be used, but it's mostly for the bonuses. I'm gonna go ahead and put her. I think C tier. Akali, also a character I placed very low in the last tier list. I think she is definitely playable. I don't really understand how her ability works. Sometimes she one-shots, sometimes she does nothing. Her daggers are really strange. I think they do like 4 times damage if your target is alone or something. I'm not sure. It's weird as hell. But she can do stuff. I'm gonna put her in low C tier instead of whatever I put her last time. Anivia, I think I overestimated Anivia a little bit in the last tier list. I think Anivia is definitely playable because she's glacial. But I don't really think she is too terribly strong herself. I'm gonna put her in low B list. Like I keep moving her over all the time. Ashe, actually very strong. Ashe is part of Ranger comp, and Ranger comp is quite strong right now. I actually really like the Ranger comp personally at the moment. It feels good. It's fun to use. Ashe is solid. She's a glacial. She has a good stun. I'm just really good in general. Not quite on Draven tier, but she is high B tier. Blitzcrank. Can we make a new tier list? A new tier? Is that possible? Add row above. Uh, Blitzcrank. Um, Then Brand. Brand is quite good. I like Brand. He's a solid elementalist. Can be used in many mage comps and stuff. You make him pretty crazy. Not quite A tier, I wouldn't say, because he's limited by being a demon. High B tier. Braum. I never really was a fan of Braum personally. Braum is, he doesn't do anything. Like, he gives you a guardian buff, but other than him being glacial and guardian, he literally doesn't do anything. So I'm actually gonna put him in only for bonuses, because I don't see Braum ever being played without playing him for one of his bonuses. He's just that bad. He doesn't do anything. Shogath received quite a heavy buff last patch, which makes him pretty fucking crazy. Sadly, he is a Void Brawler, which aren't the two most sought after things. Void is okay. I like to run Shogath personally in my Void Assassin combo. Quite crazy, using Shogath as the main tank. He's definitely A tier. I wouldn't put him in S tier because he's limited in what he is. Servers are down, really? I'm in queue for 20 minutes now. Darius! Darius is the worst brother of Garen. Only really usable for the fact that he's an Imperial. My opinion. It's not like he can't be played. So he definitely has a place on the tier list, not like Braum. I explained the Force of Nature earlier because if you use Force of Nature, then you waste 2 spatulas, and you also have to have an extra unit that you can put in. I'm not saying it's an unplayable item, but many people focus on making Force of Nature immediately, acting like it's the biggest item ever. In my opinion, it's strictly worse than making any of the other spatula items. So, Darius. He's not B tier. I would, yeah. No, he's C tier. He's only really usable for Imperial bonus, and the fact that he's an easy tank to get. But if you compare him to Garen, then Garen is leaps and bounds better than him. Elise, they buffed her. They tried so hard. But what did they get? Absolutely nothing. Elise is still garbage. Hot dumpster fire tier. And I would actually place her in only for bonuses. I would never like to run Elise in my comp. I have never seen anyone succeed with Elise. And anyone that has Elise would rather have a Gnar or a Swain. Evelynn. Probably the worst of the assassins, other than Rengar. But Rengar is at least a wild, so he can be combined with a Gnar for the wild bonus, and also getting a good tank. So I would say Evelynn might be the worst assassin in the game. Assassins are still good, so it's not like she's only for bonuses. She can be played, but there are many units that I would like over an Evelynn on my team. Fiora. Well, this one is easy. Definitely only for bonuses. Fiora is not a character you want to run. Like, ever. Garen. Actually a pretty fucking great character at the moment. I wouldn't say that it's because Morellonomicon Garen have been popularized now, and a lot of people are running it, but that's kind of why. Like, Garen is a solid unit. Therefore, he's kind of a little bit more contested than the other units. A note, though, is Garen without Morellonomicon is kind of, like, sad. So, don't go too hard for the Garen if you don't plan on putting a Morellonomicon on him. But with a Morellonomicon, which is the standard build on him nowadays, I would say he gives you early game for free. But he's not quite overpowered like Shogath or Draven. But he is really strong. That's a hard one. Would I put a Garen at the same tier as Shogath or Draven? No, I wouldn't. Okay. He's B tier. I think you just wait, but I don't know. Okay, next character, Gangplank. Gangplank did receive a little bit of a buff last patch. And so did most of the pirates. He is a gunslinger, blade master. His barrels do deal damage, but he's on level 1 he's hot garbage. On level 2, playable, but he's not super strong. He's definitely not only for bonuses, but it's close to it. I'm gonna put him in... He's both Blade Master and Gunslinger and Pirate, which are quite sought after things right now. I'm gonna put him in C tier. Very low C tier though. Not lower than Aatrox. Not lower than Ari. Not higher than Akali. Yeah. I'm gonna put him here. My microphone? What's up with my microphone? What's that? I don't know. Anyways. Let's put this a little bit closer then. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Okay. So, Graves. That's an interesting one, right? Graves, a lot of people didn't ever use him. It's weird. Well, someone is cutting the grass outside. So that's probably the sound you're hearing. Well, Blitzcrank is in solo tier because I'm memeing. I'll move him later, don't worry. Okay. Yeah, someone's cutting the grass outside. So, Graves. I did play him with red buff before this patch, and I thought it was okay. Like, I used to say that's the only thing that makes Graves decent, but Graves is not great. But the thing is, now the pirates are buffed, and Graves is kind of the main tank of pirates. He is actually quite strong. The disclaimer being you have to have items on him, much like the Garen. I wouldn't quite put him in overpowered tiered. I would put him very close to Garen, because Garen and Graves fulfill the same purpose. Put a Morello or a red buff on them, and suddenly they back. Yeah, we can have a discussion about Force of Nature, sure. So, the thing is, if you make Force of Nature, you use 2 spatulas. And what do you get? You get an extra inventory character spot. That means you have to have a character that has both the same race and the same class to make it worth. Because otherwise you could have made 2 of the spatula items and gotten, for example, 2 assassins, 2 sorcerers, and by doing so you can set up a better comp with using extra good stuff, such as an extra Sejuani, an extra Gnar, all that kind of stuff. And also, the Force of Nature doesn't provide any bonuses, while, for example, making someone Sorcerer or Assassin gives them the class as well, which For example, if you put a assassin item on Draven, then suddenly Draven crits for 350% more. Or if you put a Yumi on a Gnar, then Gnar gains double mana from auto attacks. So I would definitely argue that every other item, maybe not every other item, but basically every other item is better than Force of Nature. These items require a lot more thought process into using than Force of Nature does, but once you get into that mindset that, hey, if I make this, then my team will be a lot better, then you will see that Force of Nature is worse than all these 3 items, for example. Okay, let's continue. Karthus! Oh lord, they buffed this guy. Doesn't help him. Doesn't help him at all. He's a phantom. Phantom sorcerers don't go too well together. Other than maybe if you play a Mordekaiser as a tank, but a Mordekaiser as a tank in a sorcerer lineup doesn't sound too intelligent. I know some people like this character. I personally think he's pretty hot garbage. I tend to avoid him whenever I can. I feel like a Morgana is in 99% of the cases better than a Karthus, and an Aurelian Soul is not even competing on the same fucking field as Karthus. I would put him in a very low tier, and some people might argue that, but I really, really don't like Karthus. He is really only there for the sorcerer bonuses, and there are a lot better sorcerers for that bonus. I don't know if I would actually put him in only for bonuses tier, but he is somewhere around here. Like, I'm not even joking. I would put him. He's not unusable, but he's not good. Let's put him at the bottom of C tier. Kassadin! Good old Kassadin. Oh lord, Kassadin. Where do you go? I think you stay in A tier. I don't think Kassadin needs to be discussed too much. Pretty obvious. Katarina, an Assassin Imperial that is a great enabler for the Assassin Draven comp. Good shit, good shit. I'm gonna go ahead and put...
Yo, was ein große Feuerball, Junge!
Netschnell? Thanks so much for the Twitch Prime sub. Danke fucking schön, man. I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy in... Or this girl, I mean, sorry. I think I'm gonna put her in B tier. Good enabler for Assassin Imperials. Of course, that requires to have the Yoma's Ghost Blade, but it's solid. Her ulti itself is very good. It just slices up everything. Before you have the Imperial buff, it's kind of awkward to run her, I think. And her ulti takes very long to channel. Most of the time she is dead before she starts using her ulti. So that's why she isn't higher. If her ulti had lower charge time, she would be higher. Who would I play Aurelion with? Pretty much any sorcerer. You have to have 3 sorcerer. And if you want to focus on Aurelion as your main damage, tank, everything, then you have to have the Shyvana as well for the dragon bonus. But other than that, yeah, Aurelion works in pretty much everything that wants to run 6 sorcerer. I might actually upload this making of the tier list on YouTube. That might be interesting. then my arguments and all that kind of stuff could be heard and similar. I think I will do that. Okay, Kayle. Kayle. Noble that makes noble good. She is a 5 tier. She is kind of hard to get, but that's not really relevant for the tier list. She is a noble and a knight, which is kind of what you want out of her. She is a very solid character in general. I don't really consider her to be overpowered. You can do some stupid shit with her, with like a Spear of Shojin or some attack speed items and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with her. Therefore, she's gonna be high, but she's not gonna be on Draven part. I'm gonna put her right below Garen and Graves, because Garen and Graves are relevant for longer than and for more things than Kayle is. Kennen kind of has been overshadowed as of late. Sorry, give me a second. Okay. So Kennen kind of has been overshadowed as late. And I don't think he's necessarily bad right now. He's an elementalist, he's a Yordle, and he has a great skill. But the thing is, right now, either you run a carry with a rapid fire cannon as your main item, or you run a mage comp with Aurelion Soul as your main damage dealer, which kind of makes Yordles irrelevant in a way. So I think Yordles are kind of subjected to the fact that the meta favors things that counter them.
Yo, was ein großer Fireball, Junge!
So I'm gonna put him a little bit lower than he probably should be. Krax, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub. Danke fucking Chen. Dankeschön. Hi, Inflames. So I'm gonna put him in C tier, B tier, low B tier. Is he better than Darius? Yes. Is he worse than Anivia?
Yo, was ein großer Fireball,
Debatable.
Junge.
Okay, let's put him there. And also Bastion Not won, and Bihamasa. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime subs.
Yo, was ein
No, I
großer
just closed
Junge.
my window. I didn't think the sun was that bad. Sorry about that. I think Kennen might be better than Anivia, but it's close. Yeah, I've seen people play him in a full ninja comp, and it seemed to work. I think there are things you can do with Kennen that you can't do with Anivia. I'm gonna put him over Anivia. Kha'Zix. Void Assassin. With a very good early game, but pretty shit late game. The reason this guy is good is because he's a Void Assassin, and as I said, in the Void Assassin comp, you deal some crazy damage and you pretty much one-shot everything. But it's not because of Kha'Zix. Well, it is because of Kha'Zix, because he's a Void Assassin, but it's not because Kha'Zix is good. He's easy to get to 3-star because not very many people go for him unless they play exactly Void Assassin. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in C tier because his bonuses are good and he himself is a decent early game unit. Kindred. Oof, Kindred is a hard one. Kindred is a unit that does a lot of shit, but also sometimes does absolutely nothing. There are team comps that Kindred is insane against. She's a complete game changer, but there are also team comps where she literally doesn't do anything. I'm gonna go ahead and put her in B tier because she is a unit that could single-handedly win you the game. And she is also a ranger, much like Ashe, which makes her very strong. I'm gonna put her below Ashe because I think Ashe is better than Kindred. I'm gonna put Ashe a little bit higher. Something like that. Okay, Leona. She has a crazy stun, like completely insane stun. If you haven't read Leona's skills, her skills range from, I believe it's 4 seconds on level 1, 8 seconds on level 2, and like 11 seconds on level 3, or something along those lines. Which is bonkers. The only problem is that it's single target. But she is a guardian, and she is noble, and she is easily combinable with a lot of things because of that fact. You don't want to run her outside of a guardian or noble comp. Because there are better alternatives, such as Sejuani, which stuns the entire enemy team, if you don't care about the noble guardian buff. But she is also not bad. I would put her in B tier. I'm gonna put her in high C tier, actually. I don't think she quite deserves B tier, because she can derp her ulti quite hard, and she has to be paired with Braum. She is great. Okay, so 5, 8, 11 seconds. Yeah, close enough. Still crazy. She is very tanky, but Sejuani just does what she does better. So unless you care about the Noble and Guardian bonus, you're gonna want to run Sejuani over Leona any day. S tier means basically overpowered. Or strong enough to be defining of the meta. Lysandra, kind of the forgotten glacial. I always forget that she exists, unless I'm playing an elemental bonus. I would only really run her for either elemental bonus or for glacial bonus, and that's kind of what this tier is for. I'm sorry, Lysandra, your elemental bonus is great, but you yourself is pretty garbage. Well, it's not like she's unrunnable. Okay, so she's not complete trash. I'm gonna put her in D tier. Because she is playable without bonuses, but not very good. Lucian got buffed quite hard last patch. He's also a noble and a gunslinger, which makes him a little bit better than Tristana in general. And his skill is also better. I think if they fix the AI of gunslingers a little bit better and just make it smoother, it will make him a lot better. But he himself is a very solid unit with a good race and good class, which will make me put him in. An early Lucian 2 is so good, it's insane. I'm gonna put him higher than Kennen and Anivia in B tier. Lulu! So, Lulu, that's the question, isn't it? Lulu is such a crazy unit, but she is a Yordle and a Sorcerer. The Yordle part, not super relevant. The Sorcerer part, very relevant. In my last tier list, I put her in S tier, and they have not nerfed her or changed her anything since then. But I think I might actually put her on top of A tier this time. I don't feel like she has the same impact as a Gnar, Aurelion, or a Sejuani, but she has a very big impact. I think I'm actually gonna put her on top of A. I think that's arguable, but I think it's also not too big of a difference. Like S tier, A tier. Like if you're on top of the A tier, you're almost S tier. I'm gonna put her on top of A tier, anyways, because I find myself running Lulu a little bit less than I used to. Because she doesn't fit into too many comps, and usually there are other sorcerers that I would like to run. For damage reasons, because you're usually lacking damage, but she's just a really solid unit. Misfortune. Like I said in my last game, Misfortune is a gunslinger and a pirate, and pirates don't really need a pirate and a gunslinger most of the time, because you usually have a Lucian 3 at that case, or a Tristana 3, and you don't want to skip a Tristana or a Lucian 3 for a fucking Misfortune 1, or maybe, if you're lucky, a Misfortune 2. I think Misfortune sadly suffers from pirates having too many gunslingers, or there being too many valid gunslingers to play right now. I'm gonna put her quite low. I can't even put her in only for bonuses, because you don't want to run her for her bonuses. I'm gonna put her at the bottom of C tier with Karthus. They're the best buddies. Mordekaiser. Actually, kinda playable due to the Ranger Phantom working very well in a Ranger comp. So he teams up very nicely with the Kindred for the Ranger comp, and then you also have the Sejuani for the Glacial bonus, and then you have the usually Garen, Kayle for the Noble Knight stuff. Actually quite decent. He's not quite good enough to be in B tier, but he is, in my opinion, as good as Darius if you're aiming to go for exactly a Ranger comp. Next character, Morgana. Morgana did get a little bit of a buff, but I already thought Morgana was quite a good character. Only bad part about her is that she's a demon, kinda. Very good character though. Deals a lot of damage with her ability. She's a sorcerer. She combines very well with the Gnar. Gnar knocking into her ulti just one-shots everything. She's gonna stay in B tier. She's gonna go a little bit higher. Probably around here. I think there might be a bug right now with Morgana that even if she dies, her ulti deals the second damage anyways, if the character is still alive that she hit with it. But I'm not sure about that one. She might be this high because of a bug, but she's this high right now. Nidalee got nerfed a little bit. So I wouldn't put Nidalee in A tier still, even though she was in last tier. Both Nidalee and Wild got nerfed. She's still a very strong character, but she's not that strong. I'm gonna put her on the bottom of B tier right now. She's let's see her. She is about as good as Lucian. She got nerfed kinda hard, but she's still a valid character to play. Next one. Hoppy. In the last tier list, I put her on the bottom. In the current tier list, I'm gonna put her a little bit higher, because she's actually playable. Not very great, but actually kind of playable. Gonna put Hoppy on the bottom of C tier. Last tier list, I put her on the very bottom. But she's kind of proven herself to me that she is better than that. Yosar, that's because Veigar one-shots characters that are lower stars than him. Pike! Holy shit, Pike got crazy buff. He's a pirate, he's an assassin, he's everything. He can be played in both pirate and assassin, or just for his stun if you get him an early 2-star or something. Really good unit right now. Not quite as good as Shogath. Not quite as good as Kassadin either. I would put him right behind the Garen and the Graves. Very strong unit right now. Rek'Sai. What the fuck is a Rek'Sai? Rengar. What the fuck is a Rengar? Shen. Actually a decent unit right now. He's a Blade Master. He's a ninja. He dodges shit. He's okay. He can be played. Wouldn't put him too high though. I'm gonna put him a little bit lower than that. Shyvana, Nana. Shyvana is a hard one, right? If you focus on Shyvana as your main character and put all stuff on her, like give her a Phantom Dancer, give her maybe another damage item, she can be made quite useful. But most of the case, you just play the Shyvana for the Shapeshifter and the Dragon bonus. And Shyvana 1 is complete garbage. Shyvana 2 is playable, but not very good. It's just for the Dragon bonus, it's just for the Shapeshifter bonus. And because of that, if you're not playing both Dragon and Shapeshifter, she's actually really fucking bad. So, as crazy as it might sound, I think I'm actually gonna put Shyvana in the only for bonuses tier. Because I would never, ever, ever, ever run the Shyvana without a Shapeshifter minimum. Or a Shapeshifter Dragon to be okay. You can do things with her, but the only things you want to do with her are to give the bonuses, and if you have the bonuses, you can make her work, and she can be very strong. I'm not saying she can't be strong with the Dragon and Shapeshifter bonus, but if you have the Dragon and the Shapeshifter bonus, then you're much better off using Aurelion Sol as your main character. And yes, I know you can make Shyvana 3 and put a Phantom Dancer on her and put a Rapid Fire Cannon on her and put a Rage Blade on her and have her go 1v everything. But if you put literally the same item on Aurelion Sol, he will do the same thing. So why would you use a worse character to do it? That is only fringe better against characters with magic immunity? I don't know. That's why she's only for bonuses. Swain. Swain. Holy crap. Shapeshifter, Demon, and Imperial. An essential part of the Shapeshifter into Draven comp late game to actually counter magic immune enemies. Very good character right now. I'm gonna go ahead and put you in A tier. Probably gonna go like this in tier list order. Tristana. This chick gives me a fucking... I don't know. Sometimes she's great. Sometimes she's so dumb. Like, she kind of suffers from the same thing as Varus did, or Windranger did in Dota Auto Chess, where her ulti, or Sniper even, where their ultis make their DPS lower and just screws them up. So the more attack speed or the more mana items you put on Tristana, the less DPS she kind of does, because she has to do her ulti, and that removes the crit chance, and blah blah blah, blah blah blah. I hate her animation. If her animation was better, she would be good. She's a gunslinger, which makes her kinda okay. Man, she has to go higher than Misfortune though, out of principle. I really dislike Tristana right now. She is played out of necessity, not because she's good. Varys got buffed kinda hard last patch. She's also part of the Rainier bonus, which is quite solid right now. He's also a demon, which kind of makes him relevant because of the demon thing as well in late game, combined with maybe a Swain or maybe a Brand if you want to be edgy and do an elemental ranger. I haven't tried that, but sounds like it could work. I wouldn't quite put him in B tier yet, though. I think he's a little bit worse than that. I will put him at the top of C tier, because he's mostly played for the Rainier bonus, but he can be useful. If you get an early Varys 3, yeah, sure, he does stuff, but I don't think he's on the same level as Ashe. Vayne. Kind of similar to Varys. She's played for the Ranger bonus. She's also a noble. She scales quite well with attack speed items, but without any items, she's kind of bad. I'm gonna put her next to Varys, actually. A playable character, but you need stuff for her to be decent. And Varys doesn't really need stuff to be decent. She deserves her place there, I think. Veigar. Well, Veigar. I kinda fucking hate you. I only play you for Sorcerer. Possibly Yordle if I have a Gnar and already a Lulu on the board. But mostly I only play you for Sorcerer in a 6 Sorcerer comp. You're not completely awful, but you're not really good. I'm gonna put you in C tier above... probably one step below Ahri, because I would rather play Ahri over Veigar almost every time. Volibear, that's a tough one. Volibear is a character that I personally never like to play myself, and I haven't seen him do anything, but I keep hearing Volibear with red buff and rapid fire cannon is really good. Well, I've never seen anyone do it, so I don't know if I believe you. He is actually very tanky from the start. He's one of those characters I don't personally know where I would actually put him, but because of how little play I've seen him do, I'm not going to put him in only for bonuses. I'm actually going to put him on bottom of D tier. But I don't know. He just sounds super fringe. Maybe you can make it work. Meh. Warwick. Wild got nerfed. Wild is still relevant. Warwick is still pretty good. I'm gonna put Warwick in C tier. I'm gonna put him next to Ahri, above Ahri actually, because I would rather play Ahri for the wild. Rather play Warwick for the wild bonus than I would Ahri. And Yasuo, Blade Master, Exile. I think Yasuo might be a meme for most people, but I've been experimenting with Yasuo, and he has quite a crazy shield, and he's very tanky for a 5-star, well, a tier 5 unit, 1-star. So he's pretty much a good include in any comp that don't know what their last unit wants to be and don't want it to be a CC unit. You can run him with Blade Master quite well. I don't think I'm gonna put him. Actually, I am gonna put him in B tier because he's playable. Fresh Ducks. Danke fucking schön for the Twitch Prime sub, man. I'm gonna put him on the bottom of B tier because he's playable and he's not really getting that much play right now. Sed. Sed is the ninja assassin that you play before you get a Kali, but you can also make him 3-star earlier. I think he's worse than Akali, personally. I'm gonna put him one step below Akali because of that reason. He's in C tier. He's playable. He's a ninja. He's assassin early. He's not terrible. Playable. I think that makes it for the characters. Oh, actually, no. Let's delete the Sola tier. Let's put the Blitzcrank somewhere. Blitzcrank, actually, I find to be quite a cool substitute, or like just extra thing you can put in if you see your opponent is doing a thing and you want to counter that thing, just as a real little bit of a sneaky move in the end. Or he's also pretty decent in the beginning. I think I'm gonna put him in C tier because he is playable. He sees fringe play from me, but sometimes. Probably here. And then we're gonna go over to all the items, yeah? Items. Night Vow, I would only play it for combo. Rabadons. This is a hard one. See, items like Rabadon, I think has great potential on a couple of characters, such as Aurelion Sol. Or you can even play it on Gnar with a sorcerer bonus, which is pretty cool. But it's not an item I think is overpowered, and I feel like there are better stuff you can make most of the time. But it's an okay item. I'm gonna put it in the B tier because of that. Infinity Edge, crazy on Assassin. If you play an Assassin Draven with Infinity Edge, you're gonna one-shot people. But it's the same as Rabadon. It's a very specific item. I feel like there might be a bug with the Infinity Edge right now that gives critical chance, but that might just be me. So I'm gonna put it one step higher than Rabadon. I really like the Void Assassin combo personally. It's Apollon. Let's see here. Giant's Belt. Solid item that can be combined with a lot of things. It's probably the 4th best basic item. Let's put out the basic items first, okay? So BF Recursive Bow, obviously on the top. Then I would say BF Sword is the second one you want to be picking up. Followed by Giant's Belt and Needlessly. Followed by which one? Bum. But some of the items are obviously depending on your comp, and so items are a little bit harder to put down. But these would be my general guideline, especially for the beginning. Oh, and Spatula. Spatula is also kind of like it's a good item. I would put it above those items most of the times. So that one might be a little bit hard to explain. Recursive Bow first. BF, Giant's Belt, Needlessly, kind of around the same. Tier probably better than but all these items are, everything's usable. That's the cool thing. That's the part I really like. Like, tier is great if you make a Spear of Shojin or like a Static Shiv with a Phantom Ranger combo. There's a lot of good shit you can make with all items. Like, this one is needed for Phantom Dancer, this one is needed for Magic Immunity. These are just like general guidelines, what you should aim for in the beginning of the game when it comes to the basic items. Bloodthirster, decent item. Not very many characters want to be running it though, unless you aim to make a super mega hard carry, and have them just kill the entire enemy's team alone, such as a Draven with a BF Sword and a Phantom Dancer and a Rage Blade or a Rapid Fire Cannon. Or if you want to be running maybe a Lucian that tanks some damage, dashes in, dashes around like an idiot. Gonna put this one on above Redemption, I think. But not quite higher. Frozen Heart. An item I actually kind of like. Attack speed is very relevant in the current meta because attack speed gives you mana, mana gives you abilities, abilities when you leave the game. And it's made from Tier and Chain Vest, which are two items that don't make too many great items together. Or, like, apart. So, it's actually a very solid item when it comes to the Tier and Chain Vest combination. Or, like, those two items. Locket, also a very solid item, made from Chain Vest and Needlessly Large Rod. It's an item that you can make with Chain Vest as well, that is very solid. I would put it a little bit lower than Frozen Heart, but it's a solid item that you can make if you don't want to use the Needlessly Large Rod for anything else, like a Morellonomicon or a Rabadon or a... that's pretty much it. Or a Rage Blade, obviously. Okay, Red Buff. Red Buff, you might be surprised. I think Red Buff is a really terrible item. I wouldn't put it in D tier because it can't be used. Red Buff is exclusively for Graves, or maybe some fringe application in some universe where you wouldn't play Graves. You can play it on Gangplank because that procs on the barrels as well. Or you could use it on just someone backline, like a gunslinger other than Graves, but then you would already have a Graves, and why would you run it on anyone else than Graves if you already have Graves? It's kind of like, meh. Rageblade, I'm sure a lot of people have been waiting for this item. So the thing about Rageblade is that it's made from Recursive Bow and the Needlessly Large Rod. Recursive Bow has a lot of good combinations. As you can see, it has the top two items, which are the Rapid Fire Cannon and the Phantom Dancer. I wouldn't actually put the Rageblade on the same tier. I would put the Rageblade on one tier lower. Because Rageblade is a solid item, but because there are better things you can make with the Recursive Bow, it takes a backseat towards that one. Luna's Echo, kind of a buggy item, I think. From what I can tell with Luna's Echo is that whoever you put it on, when they use their spell, if it's a single target spell, the spell won't splash on the unit itself from the Luna's Echo, but it will only splash on everything around it. Which is kind of fucking weird for a League of Legends player, because Luden's proc on the main target as well. But I don't think it does in this game, which is really strange. Therefore, I'm gonna put it very low, because it's a strange item, but it can be used. Morellonomicon, great item. Probably the best combination you can make with Needlessly Large Rod and Giant Spelt. Well, Giant Spelt, it's a great item. It's crazy right now. It's like the only way to get around Magic Immunity while also removing healing. It's just a fucking great item. Red buff is only good on Graves, pretty much. Static Shiv. Let's go. Spear of Shoten. They nerfed Spear of Shoten a little bit, but I think it's still usable. It's probably the best combination you can do with a BF Sword if you have that in a mage comp. I'm gonna put it quite high because it is quite a crazy item, even though it got nerfed. Static Shiv. I think it's an item that's really possibly underrated. It's made from a recursive bow, which makes it a little bit iffy because there are so many other combinations that are better with a recursive bow. But because it's made from a recursive bow, I'm going to put it in B tier because it gives you attack speed and a tier, which allows you to use your abilities earlier, and attack speed also makes it so you can use your ulti earlier. Quite a solid item. Warmogs. If you have a lot of Giant Spelt and you don't want to use the Giant Spelts to make a Morellonomicon or a red buff, depending on what you have, Warmogs could be a usable item. Currently, a lot of people are playing either Graves with a red buff or a Morellonomicon in general, which removes the regeneration from Warmogs, which makes it a little bit worse. And also the health is kind of negligible. I'm gonna put it on the bottom of B tier because it's an item that can be made, but it shouldn't be made unless you have to. Then we come to Seeks. Seeks got nerfed, but there are team comps that actually use Seeks very well, such as the full Ranger comp. All of the Ranger will stand still, and then they will have the Seeks buff applied to them at all times. The thing about Seeks, from what I can tell, is it only applies if the units are near them, not at start of round. Which I'm not sure about that one. I'm trying to figure it out still, but I think that's the way it works. I think Seeks is still a good item, even if it got nerfed. It's made from Giant's Belt and BF Sword, which could be a great combination if you don't want to make any of the other items from it. Gotta put it quite high, even so. Zephyr, great item. Giant's Belt, Negotiation Cloak. You can also make the Dragon Claw with that. I'm not gonna put it in A tier because there are better stuff you can make with it, but I'm gonna put it here. Thornmail could be very useful if your opponent's carries doesn't have a Bloodthirster. They tend to kill themselves on your tank in that case, and it's also made from 2 Shane Vests, which don't have too many great combinations. Kind of like these ones. I'm gonna put it. It's kind of like all the double items. The double items are good to make if you don't have another choice for them, or you have very many of them. And lastly, Titanic Hydra. I'm actually thinking this item is quite terrible. There are a couple of characters you can play it on. You can play it on the Gunslingers, but other than the Gunslingers, it's pretty bad. Not quite as bad as the red buff in general, if we're not talking about Graves, but it's pretty bad. I'm gonna put it on the bottom B tier. And with that, I think I have done everything. Bum pa bum pa bum. I'm gonna go ahead and save this, just so I have it. And here's a final look at it. There might have been something I rushed through or something that I might change my mind on. But in general, I think this is a pretty good comprehensive tier list. There might be something that needs to be moved around, but I think my brain is actually going to explode if I continue making this tier list at this very point in time. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed me making the tier list. It was fun. I like to have discussions about it. So if you have any questions and that kind of stuff, please feel free to write more about it in the comments. So yeah, enjoy. I hope